you want to add to that before we start?
Perfect. So we're going to be talking about initial public offerings. And just to give you a framework, this is a very strange topic. So just to give you some framework, you all recall what Facebook is. They did their offering recently, and as you know, the price kind of stuttered a bit. A lot of people lost money. But there are players that make money that aren't in the mainstream media, and that's something that we're going to highlight during our presentation. And your job is to kind of pretend that you are the board of directors for the New York Stock Exchange. We are consultants of the strategic management division within this business, okay? And so we've been recalled into the boardroom to kind of address and readdress the IPO process, okay? And so we're ready to begin.
You're ready.
All right. All right, well, thank you for re-inviting us back into the boardroom. We appreciate the opportunity, and just to refresh your memory, my name is Yogesh Patel, this is Dylan Vista, and we represent the Strategic Management Division at the New York Stock Exchange. And today, we're here to kind of re-establish the idea of IPO underpricing, initial public offering underpricing, and what we've discovered as fraud and rampant negligence occurring within this market. And so, what I'm going to do today, and during our presentation, is kind of paint a very broad picture and lay a foundation such that you guys have a refresher course in the IPO game, because I understand we all come from a very diverse field of backgrounds, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with issuing firms, okay? Issuing firms are essentially firms that are looking to go public. They're trying to raise money through the initial public offering process. They will hire an underwriter, and this underwriter is an investment bank. This investment bank facilitates the entire process, okay? They take them from point A to point B, essentially. And we have institutional investors. Institutional investors are large-scale buyers within the market. They are the Fidelity 500s of the world, Vanguard, they're brokerage companies. And so before we even begin, before I dive into a specific example, we have to understand who we are. We are the New York Stock Exchange. We're the largest entity of our kind by a factor of 4 in terms of our second place competition, okay? We're enormous. Our duty is to maximize our shareholder value, yes. It's to maximize our bottom line, yes. But beyond that, we have a moral obligation, a duty beyond just profit, to bolster our market, to protect the thing that we are dominating in terms of revenues, right? In terms of market capitalization. The idea is that we need to instill values, fairness, and justice within this market, because it's our job as the leader of this industry to say, we pioneered IPO change. We pioneered ethics within this market. That's our job as the #1 business in this exchange. And so we're going to dive into a specific example of Goldman Sachs and eToys. And we're going to do a little role play. I'm going to ask the board of directors to pretend they are eToys. You are the issuing firm, okay? I am going to play Goldman Sachs, your underwriter. And Dylan Vista here is going to play the institutional investors. Vanguard, Fidelity, okay? Big buyers in the market. And so, just out the bat, you're going to hire me. Okay, so you're going to hire this lovely underwriter, right? And I'm going to tell you, okay, I got you. I'm going to take you public. So I'll pick up the phone and I'll call Dylan. Okay, Dylan's going to pick up, and this is 1999, so there's going to be a delay, right? So I'm going to call Dylan. I'm going to say, hey, Dylan, how much are you going to give me for a share of eToys stock?
eToys, $25.
You're going to give me $25. I'll give it to you for 20. All right, sounds good. I'll put the phone down. Why did I just do that? He gives me $25, and I'm only going to price it at $20. I'm going to set the offer price at $20. Well, the idea is that I'm trying to incentivize him to be honest in his valuation, right? He has an obligation to kind of give me a fair, balanced pricing of what this firm should be worth, right? And so to compensate him for that time, for that valuation information, I'm going to underprice it. So when I do give out the offer price, a price that's only available to institutional investors, he benefits, okay? And we keep the system kind of going, right? And so I'll set the offer price at $20. Dylan has the ability to then sell that offer price at the market price the first day of trading. So what's happening is I'm going to set an offer price before trading occurs. Dylan has the option to sell at the market price as soon as listing occurs on, say, the New York Stock Exchange, okay? So what's occurring is I set it at $20, all right? First day of trading, market price is $78. So at the instant the market opens, Dylan's gonna buy those shares from me for $20. He's gonna sell them at $78. He's gonna get $649 million, okay? eToys, sorry, you guys make $166 million. But it gets better. Dylan here is gonna give me a kickback of 30% because I gave him a nice IPO allocation. So he's gonna give me a 30% allocation. I now have $205 million. Dylan has around $400 to $500 million. And eToys, you have $166 million left. So I'm making 23% more than the company that I have a fiduciary duty to maximize those proceeds. Does that seem fair to you? Obviously not, right? But why is this relevant today? Why are we talking about something that happened in the late 1990s? Well, the idea is that this problem is just now coming to light in terms of tangible, hard evidence. Emails have been leaked by Goldman Sachs, on the side of Goldman Sachs, that identify this kickback scheme, that identify that this has been occurring and is going to occur on a going forward basis unless change is enacted now. And that's why this is a special meeting. This is an urgent meeting. I mean, we're East Coasters, it's midnight for us, so you can imagine how important this is, right? And so the idea is that, we have to implement these changes because yes, we do have an obligation to our shareholders. We do have an obligation to maximize our bottom line, but we also are the leader in our industry, and it's our job to kind of pioneer change within this industry on an ethical standpoint. Because these emails, they identify the intent and extent of IPO underpricing, right? They're explicit. But the problem is, this happened in 1999, meaning this problem has been accruing since then, without anyone knowing. This is a problem because it's creating bubbles, it's creating volatility, and as Dylan is going to mention, during our implications and resolutions, this is an ethical situation that we need to address as part of our reputation and brand bolstering overall. And Dylan, you can just take it away.
So obviously you can see there's a problem here, we all know that. And we need to examine the ethical dimension just a little bit more. So first, we know that there's an inherent problem here, and that stems from the imbalance of information, the asymmetrical information given from larger firms such as Vanguard, etc., and then the smaller firms, eToys. Now, this imbalance, or this unfair balance rather, of opportunities, or there's an balance of opportunities that stems from this asymmetrical information. And it's our job to mitigate that. This unfair balance creates volatility, as Yogesh presented, and this volatility is going to lead smaller firms, less knowledgeable firms rather, to it's a disincentive for them to participate in our exchange, and that harms our bottom line and everyone else's bottom line as well. So how do we fix this problem? Well, we have a three-pronged approach that we recommend. First, we'd like to increase transparency through requiring submission of written bids and other small regulatory changes. Second, we'd like to increase awareness through promoting, or rather establishing, a database or some other form of open information for all firms on the IPO or on any financial market really. It's going to allow more aware decision making. And third, we'd like to change the culture, pioneer this new culture of ethical practices that are upheld in the exchange of IPOs specifically, but moreover, over the entire financial market. Now, why is this relevant to us now? This problem fixes our solution because it's going to add more fairness to the whole situation. Everyone's going to be a little bit more aware. The playing field's a little bit more level now for all players in the market. Secondly, there's more accountability, and there's an opportunity to pursue justice, which was formerly, a new innovation, not formally attainable because there was no hard evidence. Now there's a paper trail being created through submission of written bids, etc., that allows the opportunity to pursue justice and create a more fair and just market. Now, why do we need to act on this now? Well, as the New York Stock Exchange, the board of directors established a code of business or ethical business conduct, and that dictates and compels us to promote ethical practices not only on our market but overall. As the leader and being in our position in the financial industry, we need to spearhead the changes in the culture and be the leader and example of proper ethical culture or ethical practices within exchanges. So our solution, we believe, fixes this problem in multiple facets, but it allows more fairness and justice in the market as the main opportunity. And in conclusion, our mission and our solutions uphold our mission. Not only do they uphold the mission, but they also allow us to promote more ethical practices and ensure a more sustainable future and a culture of aware and informed people playing in this market.
Thank you.
2 minutes here so I can get some notes done.